let's talk more on the artists you collaborate with. Oslo, Norway, New York City, Portugal, Australia. They're from everywhere. How do you do it? You're like the UN of music.
But good thing I don't go into politics.
Yeah.
With my short attention
Actually,
span.
just on the UN of music, do you think?
Obviously, I'm too much of a fuck up to actually hold a band together all the time. Yeah. So, but I'm very good at convincing people and tricking them into, can you do this gig with me? And I'll be in town for a couple of days, and then I'll be out of here for a year, and you won't have to deal with me again.
Well, that's good. I think that's how it should work with a lot of artists, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
If you hang out too long, sometimes you get pissed off. We were talking about that, swinging about that before with Ben Smith. It's very, very rare that you actually will collaborate with an artist for a long period of time without having an argument. Do you have relationships like that in your music career?
I had a relationship like that,
yeah.
And we had a big falling out, which is a shame. He'll probably never see this, so it doesn't really matter. But from my first band in New York. But I mean, since then, I'm not a dictator when it comes to working with music. I mean, that's one of the things that maybe has been a bit of a strength, is that I do write songs. I do come to the table with the songs and the lyrics and an idea, but I also encourage the people that I work with to also bring something to the table. And that is to say that I don't hire them in to play what I want them to play. They have a song to work with. They realize where I'm coming from, and they put their own music into it, be it an instrument, be it their vocal, which can also be an instrument, and a bit of their own personality. And that's what I think makes it a bit fun, especially when most of my material is very dark. I wouldn't say it's outright morbid, but it's certainly not for.
Swamp rock was a great description of your music, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah, well, swamp rock. Swamp rock. Yeah, I think swamp rock. That whole. Labeling is very difficult. I guess I used to think of it more as lounge noir because it sounds a bit more sophisticated. Yeah. But then things get kind of
heavy
and tattered and torn and enough decadence around, and it gets kind of swampy and murky. And
between song banter it's quite funny, and I don't think people expect that because they're expecting that dark, brooding sort of, this is a song about
my wife leaving me.
My wife. I was actually going to say that, but I didn't want to be offensive. You took the words right out of my mouth. But yeah, I guess it's I guess that music, from what I personally take from it, is it's kind of like a purging of personal issues, and then you're this happy, bright, switched on person with this mid-song banter that just takes people off guard. Have you seen that affect people in your performances? Do you notice that?
Well, sometimes. I think earlier on when I was doing music, it was a bit difficult to be myself, and it was easier to take on sort of a persona. That was my old New York band called Pike Orion, where we had a bit of a 19th century gangs in New York thing going on, and I wrote the songs, but I just did vocals then, and often I would drink about a half bottle of Maker's Mark, and just sort of took on a really dark side that scared the shit out of people. So, that whole myth of rock and roll, getting laid and everything, that wasn't happening back in the 90s. I would do a show, and I'd go backstage, and nobody would come and talk to me because they were fucking scared. Mm. So, when I started then incorporating actually playing guitar and singing, I wanted to be a bit more serious about it and focus a bit more on the music and the performance and actually give something to people who were looking for something other than just feel-good schlock, which we have around us in abundance on the radio. And I write stuff that, yes, it is very personal. it's not that every single line that I write is the exact truth. I'm not necessarily telling a story, but maybe a version of something that's happened to me, and maybe how it felt more than
how it was.
Because sometimes it could be worse, and there are things that I don't feel like I need to share with anyone, because that's my life, that's my personal business, as we're all entitled to have. But at the same time, I mean, life is short. Life is it has its ups and downs, and I try not to take it for granted, especially where I'm at in my life right now. I've been very fortunate to meet tons of terrific people and work with some phenomenal musicians. And especially, I mean, it's sometimes a bit odd for me to work with certain people who they get what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's it's thrilling. It really is. It's I mean, being here in Australia is actually, it's terribly exciting for me, because this is where a lot of the music that inspired me as a teenager came out of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's great to be here.